In this short video, we're looking at how to use the vector tool in Affinity Designer for iPad. And the trick here is to locate the commands each time, which are quite different than the desktop version. And this video basically is for those just starting out with Affinity Designer, beginners if you like. So the first thing we need to do is open Affinity Designer on your iPad. Fairly straightforward. Now open a blank canvas, and that's part of the process of opening Designer, and select the vector brush tool. And when you touch that tool, the name will come up, vector brush tool. You can also hold down the question mark on the bottom right hand side. That will display all of the options around the toolbars. Now in the context toolbar, that's that bar along the bottom, you have the controller menu. Usually when you open a new document and select the vector brush, it will default to none. But sometimes it'll be different if you've been using it previously. Just in this case, make sure you have none selected for the moment. There are a number of other options in there, and this one for instance is velocity. This will affect the brush when you draw, depending on how fast you draw. So if you stroke across the canvas quite rapidly, you can change the context. And there are also some options that I'll show you later in one of the other studios, but we won't worry about that at the moment. Just be aware that there are a number of options in that controller. The pressure option in the controller gives you a virtual effect of having how hard you would press on a brush. To get this effect after selecting pressure, you need to draw your lines, then select your drawing. Next, you go to the Stroke tab on the colour picker, follow the red arrow across there, and click on Pressure. A horizontal line is used to adjust the line pressure. It will then appear on your drawn lines. Whichever line you have selected, it will alter that line, and you can see that one there is heavier towards the bottom end than the top end. Same with the other ones, they're all slightly different pressures. The bar that's showing in the square on the right, that little zigzag line, that's an effect of the pressure in different parts of your line. You'll get used to using that, and I'd suggest you do a lot of experiments with that to get the feel of it. It's a very useful tool. Now, if you select none, the line you draw will draw as per the brush type and size you select. Now there we have a 32 pixel width line, 100% opacity, and it's one of the pencil brushes. And it's the classic pencil 2B, good old favourite at school. It's quite a thick line there, but you can change that. But you can see it's a black line in the stroke, the controller says none, and it's a standard brush line, or pencil in this case. Think of it as a pencil brush. In the Brushes tab, you have a drop-down box with different brush options. This is where you select the style of brush you would like to use. Textured brushes will give you a paintbrush effect, and you can see there's quite a few of them there. Different sorts of brushes, and I've got markers, pencils, pens, oils, watercolours, some from Frankentoon, and vector shader brushes, engraving, dry media. There's quite a range there. You'll build those up as you go along. Image brushes are fascinating. They can create some interesting effects and give your design a distinctive feel. You can see there I've got an ink spatter, sprays and spatters. I've also been using a half-tone one, or an engraving line. You can see there, that's those patches of little wavy lines. As you paint your brush stroke, those little lines appear, or the spatter. That's an ink spatter selected there. As you touch it, it looks like somebody's been spattering ink on your drawing. Great for doing those background effects. You can change the opacity of the brush. As you can see below, the difference between full opacity and the adjusted opacity. I've got the lower one set at 34%, so they're not quite as dark as the ones at the top. And if you overpaint another line with an opacity set low like that, it slowly darkens the more you paint on. Now when the brush lines are selected, you can click on the node tool, and this will bring up many nodes on your brush lines which you can adjust. And you can see the node lines there, the arrow pointing to it. If you were to drag one of those nodes with your Apple Pencil tip, it will change the shape of that line. As you can see there. In the Stroke tab you can change the thickness as well, the width of your brush after you've drawn it. By selecting the Move tool, you can select your brush lines, adjust the size manually, move the lines, shift them about, turn them, do all sorts of things with them. Very useful. You can see on the left hand side there, the little arrow near the top, that's got the Move tool selected. You can also select the Colour tool from the Colour Studio and change the colour of your brush strokes. And you can see I've got a brush stroke there, slightly changed its shape, so it's thinner at the ends and thicker at the middle, but I've also set it to a pink colour. You can see the box selected, the brush box selected up near the red coloured dot. So, what can I say? Experiment with a blank document. Don't try and do this on one of your prize drawings. Open a blank document and experiment. It's a great way to learn. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you would like to be updated as new videos are added to the sequence.